press conference. That wasn't their idea. Come on.
Well, no, I'm sure that it wasn't their idea, but everything that they've done in this trial, from going into open court and saying we're not negotiating a plea bargain with a judge who well knows that they're not, has been aimed toward the public. They are more concerned about spinning the public's opinion than they are about what's going on in that courtroom.
But don't blame them for Dr. Lee's press conference. That's clearly unfair.
Well, I think that Dr. Lee, the fact that he had a press conference and indicated that he still stands by his testimony, might have been instituted by the defense. We don't know.
Barry Tarlow, what do you say to the comment that this thing seems to be slipping away in spite of the fact that Dr. Lee never specifically said it was a footprint? The impression everybody had was that it was, and now it's gone.
John, we have spent more time already talking about this than it's worth. This is a grain of sand on the scales. This case will not be decided based on these lines, based on what Bosniak said about these footprints, based on what Dr. Lee said. I mean, it's a
what's the lead weight on the scale, then?
What?
The lead weight. If this is a grain of sand, what is the big, heavy lead weight on the scale that's going to make a difference for the defense?
The lead weight is the gloves don't fit. You cannot trust Furman. He's a racist. He manufactures evidence. And the prosecution case is untrustworthy because of the bungling people involved in it. That's Barry, the weight in the case.
Let me ask you a question on the gloves, Barry. If those gloves were not the gloves that he wore on television, why didn't the defense try and produce the alternate pair that would have been the gloves he wore on television?
Gloves he tried on in court didn't fit. That's what a jury will understand.
See, Barry can't answer the question. The reason he can't answer the question is because O.J. Simpson, we all know, had two pair of gloves just exactly like the gloves that were used in the murder. And what we also know is that he had them and wore them as recently as 6 months before the murder, and that in addition to that, he wore them in the rain. He wore them while he was holding an umbrella.
No, Janine, I can't answer the question.
And what we also know is the fact that in addition to that,
give me the evidence. That's why. I haven't talked to him about it.
O.J. Simpson wore gloves that were too small for him. It was clear from the photographs. We can't contradict those photographs, Barry, I'm sure. And then you put on a rubber glove and then try to put on a glove that's been in the rain that has blood on it and try to make it fit. Of course it's not going to fit.
All right, Janine, let's get back to the evidence of the past couple of days, even though Barry doesn't particularly want to. It's not his show yet. Let's talk about this man, Whitehurst. Now, there's this FBI man, Roger Martz, who testified a while back for the prosecution. He was poo-pooing the defense argument that preservatives in various bits of blood prove that the police planted the blood on the gate and on the socks rather than it coming there in the normal course of events. This guy, Whitehurst, who is flying out to L.A. this weekend, I hope I have this right, and may testify for the defense next week, says that this guy, Martz, has invented evidence for the prosecution in other cases. Now, if that's true, he says he ran a sting and actually caught him at it. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but if that is true, that's pretty damning evidence, isn't it?
But you know what? As you say, we don't know that it's true. And this is another attempt by the defense to create a broad brush approach to, if Mark Furman is a racist, and he is, and he's a perjurer, and he lied, then the whole L.A. Police Department framed O.J. Simpson. Now, there are 8,000 police officers in the L.A. Police Department who don't even, many of them don't even know each other, and they're certainly not going to conspire to
But they're not the ones who claim to discover the glove. Just Mark, there are many.
There were 13 police officers on the scene before Mark Furman even showed up on the scene who saw just one glove at Bundy.
But you're not suggesting, are you? Suppose this guy Whitehurst has the goods. Suppose he has the goods on Martz.
But we're engaging in speculation, aren't we?
Well, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for,
No, we're here to comment on what has happened.
You're not here to say...
Unless Whitehurst can say that Martz actually did something to evidence in this particular case, his testimony is not relevant.
You're kidding. You mean to say if they show this guy Martz has manufactured evidence in other cases, and you're saying that's not relevant to this case?
You know, it is only relevant if someone can show that he manufactured evidence in this case. We have a theory in our criminal justice system that because someone did something once, we don't convict him because they did it before.
You don't convict someone else, though. It's O.J. on trial. It's not this man.
Well, wait a minute. What you're ignoring is that there is a mountain of evidence, DNA, blood,
that evidence is
fibers,
in. The question
hair, care, a motive.
The question is, Janine, all that evidence is still in. The question is, what do you do about the evidence that this man Mars presented? If this man Mars turns out to be, and we have no idea whether he will, but he either will or he won't, we'll find out next week. If he turns out to be a proven manufacturer of evidence in other cases, surely the jury is entitled to know that before they evaluate his evidence in this case. How can you say they aren't?
But you know what you've got to do is establish that there is a basis to believe that. And unless and until Whitehurst says it as it relates to this case, it's not relevant and it won't come in.
Barry Carlo, do you think Judge Ito will let this testimony take place?
The answer is no. He's not going to want to get into all the complexities of the testimony. But I think that so much of what Janine says, just quite frankly, makes no sense to me. I think the lawyers in New York are fortunate that she's no longer a judge and is a prosecutor where she belongs. To say that this is an FBI agent, that's who Whitehurst is, a award-winning FBI agent. Now, he's ready to say, let me finish. No. Janine, let me finish. You filibuster there. Now it's my turn to say something.
Finish, just finish.
All right. That Whitehurst says that Mars is a liar. He has a reputation for being a liar. Any witness who testifies has the right to be impeached by someone who says the person is a liar. Whitehurst says he's manufactured evidence before. Surely a jury trying to see whether this man is a scientist or a phony person has a right to see that. Marcia Clark was able to ask Dr. Baden about how he testified in some oleander poisoning case, having nothing to do with this. This is this terribly compelling testimony. It may take too much time in this case, but why can we just say, because Janine doesn't like it, we'll just disregard this FBI agent's testimony? Forget about it.
We'll be back in a minute. When we do, we'll ask whether the poor jury that has been sequestered for almost 9 months may change the way juries are handled in the future.
Many examiners have personal knowledge. They are excellent scientists with high integrity. Personally, I have nothing but good to say about FBI laboratory.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Dead?
I got 47 boxes to ship out by tonight.
Easy. FedEx shipping software. It's just point, click, and ship.
Really?
Bramwell thinks I'm working my tail off. Just point, click, and ship. Take a long lunch. Point, click, and ship. Play a little golf. Point, click, ship.
FedEx shipping software is so easy. Just point, click, and ship from your own computer.
Mr. Bramwell. I'm dead.
You're dead.
I'm dead.
You are really, really dead.
For free shipping software, call FedEx.
Has this ever happened to you? What a mess. What about this for a carpet design? Trails, tracks, spills, stains. This carpet has had it. But wait, introducing No Wet Wonder Foam, the miracle carpet cleaner from the makers of DD7. Here's a real test. Sump oil, shoe polish, soot, crayon, and stove black. Now, here's a mess you'll never have. Wonder Foam is super concentrated, only a capful to 10 ounces of water. Now, with your special foam applicator, dip and squeeze. The foam is all you need. Can you believe your eyes? Wonder Foam works gently, without wetting, and ingests every granule of soil, leaving your carpets looking like new. No Wet Wonder Foam is a scientific breakthrough that lets you clean any carpet quickly, totally, and without wetting. This specially designed applicator is lightweight, but up to the toughest job. And Wonder Foam will perform its magic on upholstery you thought would never come clean. No Wet Wonder Foam can be yours on this special TV offer for $14.95, or save $10 and order 2 for $5 more. That's 2 for $19.95, and we'll include the applicator at no additional charge. If Wonder Foam doesn't work this easily and effectively for you, we will gladly refund your money.
In the U.S. or Canada, call toll-free 1-800-257-1257 or send $14.95 for 1 bottle or $19.95 for 2 bottles, plus $5.95 shipping to No Wet Wonder Foam, P.O. Box 2919, Atlanta, Georgia. Or call 1-800-257-1257.
You feel confident that you fully reviewed and studied his testimony in a way that gives you confidence that you can criticize what he said?
I'm not here to criticize what Dr. Lee said, but to clarify it so it's not misleading, that the term imprints was not a shoe print, in my opinion.
Welcome back to Crossfire. The prosecution will soon rest its case in the Simpson trial. Have they proved their case? And can a worn-out judge and jury hold out in the remaining weeks of the trial? Our guests are Westchester County District Attorney Janine Ferris-Piro and criminal defense lawyer Barry Tarlow, a former prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Barry, you know, I agree with you that if the defense has evidence that this guy, Roger Moritz, has fabricated evidence, they ought to be able to present it. But let's go back to what the defense theory is that Roger Moritz was called upon to dismiss. Do you actually believe there's a chance in the world that the LAPD took blood from O.J. Simpson, put preservatives into it, and then later took the blood and put it on a gate post and on a sock? Do you think there's any chance in the world that that happened? Because that's what this is all about, the bottom line.
Well, they've planted evidence before. They've lied before. They've planted fingerprints. For 10 years in upper New York State, we had state troopers planting fingerprints on innocent people. In my two guys, Clarence Chance and Benny Powell, two innocent men who served 18 years in prison before they were freed 2 years ago, the LAPD framed them and planted the evidence and coerced witnesses into testifying. This sadly goes on all the time. Look at what's going on in Philadelphia now, where we have 1,000 cases that may be thrown out because cops frame people. It's a sad reflection on the people who are bad apples in our criminal justice system.
Barry, I think you're right, and you're right. I admire your crusade on this, but I'm asking you, and not the general question of cops framing people, but this particular scenario that they took blood from O.J. Simpson, and then they siphoned off a little bit of it and put it back on a sock and on a gate post. It just sounds so wildly implausible to me. I'm asking you, do you find it plausible at all?
Well, I can't tell you how something was done, but I tell you what I do find very plausible. I find it very difficult to believe that O.J. Simpson changed into his ninja suit, went over there in an hour, killed Nicole Simpson, left one glove at the scene, came back, knocked on the wall to wake up Cato Kalin, dropped the glove over the fence there, didn't disturb any leaves, and left no blood, and then came in the front door and left some blood. It makes no sense to me. So I believe that glove was someplace else, and I don't think it got there by O.J. Simpson's putting it there.
What is the prosecutor's side of that scenario that Barry's just laid out?
Well, the prosecutor's side is substantiated by the evidence. The defendant in this case left all kinds of traces of himself at the murder scene, from hair that's similar to his hair on the cap that was found near the bodies, to a size 12, and coincidentally he wears a size 12 shoe, to a glove which coincidentally he happened to have the exact same kind, to his blood at the scene, the victim's blood in his car, and as recently as this week, Ron Goldman's blood pursuant to RFLP test, which is a very specific DNA test in his car. The defendant had a motive. The defendant beat Nicole Brown Simpson. And what we have here is when you put it all together, each fact alone doesn't mean anything and can be attacked. But when you take it together as a connected whole, it leads to such convincing proof of guilt. And you know, what really doesn't make sense here is that if you want to believe that the L.A. police framed O.J. Simpson, and these police officers who didn't even know each other, but of course, according to Barry, are willing to put their careers on the line for each other, if you believe that, then why is it that O.J. Simpson was treated so well? Wasn't he treated like a celebrity when he repeatedly battered Nicole Brown, the 911 calls, the failure to arrest him? He wasn't set up. He wasn't framed in this case. This is a case where O.J. Simpson was treated as a hero and a celebrity by the LAPD.
But there are folks on the jury that may treat O.J. Simpson as a hero. The fact is they've been sequestered for 9 months. Would you talk a little bit about your experience and the impact long sequestration has on a jury and how the trial may all become a blur to them?
Well, you know, I think we all know that when the technical evidence started coming out, the jurors' eyes glazed over, as did many of ours. But what we have here is a defendant who, as I understand it, has a great presence in that courtroom. He is a celebrity to many of them. He's a hero, and he's an actor. And what you have here is a jury that has watched him for 9 or 10 months now. They've humanized him. He's laughed when they've laughed. He's cried at certain times. They've gone through an experience with him where Nicole Brown...
Does that suggest that they're going to lean with him as they come with their verdict?
It may. It may suggest that. No question about it. And it's going to be hard hard for the prosecution to pierce that celebrity veil. No one wants to believe that O.J. Simpson did this.
Did sequestration make it easier or harder for this jury to come to a fair conclusion?
You know, I think it's difficult for any of us to assess and to answer that question. But what I do think is that they've gotten to the point where they're ready to make a decision. They know what both sides have said. They've heard it loud and clear. And I believe, because I believe in the jury system, that they will agonize over their decision and they will try to come to the right decision irrespective of what is expected.
Should sequestration be changed in the future?
Well, you know, we can't make changes based upon this case. This case is so unlike any of the other murder cases that are going on in this country right now. And to use this as an example to change the system would be a mistake. But I think that this case could have moved quicker. I think it probably should have moved quicker. But sequestration is important in some cases. And I've sequestered juries as a judge many times. Once I've charged a jury, then it's important for them to stay together. We can't throw out everything because of this case.
Okay, Barry, what about Janine's point that, yes, perhaps the police do frame people, but why would they frame O.J., who in many previous cases they treated as abject fans, not as anyone they had any gripe against?
Well, because you have Mark Furman in the middle of this. It doesn't take a 1,000-person conspiracy. All it takes is a couple of cops and a code of silence. Remember, in the Rodney King case, there were 27 cops standing by and doing nothing while he was being beaten here in L.A. You know, I don't agree at all with Janine's view of where this case is going to come out. I don't know if she's saying it's a convincing case to her, but I know it's not a convincing case to this jury. And if Janine is saying that this case is so strong that the prosecution has convinced this jury and that there's going to be a guilty verdict, I'd like to take her to a favorite restaurant of her choice if she's right, and she can take me to one of mine if she's wrong, because I'm sure she's wrong. I have great faith in the jury system, as she does. And they make mistakes once in a while, but those folk are real smart and real bright and do a good job. And I think that jury is looking at the evidence a lot more the way I'm looking at it.
Barry, it's very touching. Both of you lawyers have enormous faith in the jury. Thanks a lot, Barry Tarlow. Thank you, Janine Pirro. John and I will be the jury in just a moment.
Has 27 compartments and over 240 cubic inches of storage capacity. The patented interlocking hinges cover every compartment with a perfect seal, so even the tiniest pin, nut, or bolt stays right in place. It's great for kids' toys. She's a mom, she knows. Craftsmen, outdoorsmen. It's a lifelong quality.
1-800-257-1257. Call now. Saturday on CNN's Capital Gang. The Medicare reform battle begins, and will this general run for president? Two issues worth ganging up on with William Bennett. Saturday, 7 Eastern on CNN.
Have yourself a virtuous Saturday night, courtesy of CNN. Mr. Virtue himself, Bill Bennett, joins the Capital Gang tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And on Sunday, on Late Edition, Frank Sesno's guests will be Secretary of Health and Human Services Donna Shalala, Senator Pete Domenici, and Senator John Breaux. That's at 5 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday. John?
Mike, the group that in the long run I think is going to be the heroes of this whole process is the jury in this trial. They have been sequestered for 9 months away from job and family. I have no idea what result they're going to have, but as much as jury is a duty, that's above and beyond the call of duty.
It really is, and one of them was complaining that she was losing the rent on a property because she'd lost her tenant and couldn't do anything about it. Judge Ito sort of made this mysterious invitation for someone to step forward and pay the rent, and someone did, then the problem mysteriously disappeared. I don't know how the heck that happened. From the left, I'm Mike Kinsley. Good night for Crossfire.
And from the right, I'm John Sununu. Join us again next week for another edition of Crossfire.